These plants have got to go in the ground.
I'm just blooming.
A bok choy?
Yeah. Little mini ones, looks like.
Delayed weather and, well, just life in general has us behind on getting our spring garden planted. Our plan for the next few days is to make as much progress as we can to get caught up.
Hey everybody, it's April 1st and it's past time to get all these plants in the ground. But first, I have to clean up last year's mess and get 4 beds ready.
We'll be focusing on this area for the next couple of days. This has our watermelon bed, and then last year it had our tomatoes. Jason is taking down the tomahawks and the tomato clips and clearing out the tomato vines.
Well, I got all the tomato clips and hooks removed. Now I gotta remove the rest of the structure and clean up the Florida weave string. And we'll move on to the next step. everybody. It's the next day and ran out of time last night. So we're going to finish up cleaning these beds and do some bed prep and try to get some stuff planted today.
Now that everything's cleared out, we can get to the landscape fabric. We're taking off the watermelon template and we're going to be moving the tomatoes into a different location. These pieces of landscape fabric didn't have labels, so I'm working on writing labels if it didn't have one, or writing over the label if it was faded from the sun. This is our landscape fabric that we put down over beds that are going to have plants in it that will be in the ground for a while, so that we can keep the weeds down in that bed and cut down on the amount of work that we have to do to keep it up. This one is for watermelon, and we already have the holes burned through according to the spacing for this plant. And then at the end of the season, if we're going to put up the fabric or if we're moving the fabric, we have it labeled for what the spacing is for and the spacing that we used, how many holes there are, and also how long the bed is. So this fabric, this piece will fit in a 34-foot long bed. What's the spacing on tomatoes? Are these volunteer or? Okay, so these are leftover plants that we were going to use for herb garden and making tea. They got a little bit covered up, so we couldn't do very much with it, but they're coming back because they're perennial. One of them we plan to save. It's anise hyssop. It has a licorice smell.
I think it's Apache Sunset, maybe. Anise hyssop. It smells licoricey. It smells really good. We're going to keep it, move it somewhere else.
Alright, so we have our landscape fabric off and we're ready to start planting. We're not going to put landscape fabric on because these plants are spring plants. They shouldn't take too long. They'll be out and we'll be planting something new before we'll have too much weed pressure. We're ready to fertilize and then hopefully we'll get going on our spring planting. I need to add a disclaimer here. The bed is not crooked, it's the worker. One thing we're doing different this year is we're burying our fertilizer in a furrow instead of sprinkling it all over the bed. And this is going to benefit us because we're trying to stretch our compost. We don't want to pay for another dump truck load. We're going to try to get by with what we already have. And that's okay because all of these beds have had layers of compost and lots of compost added. These new ones that were from last year were still given a heavy load of compost. So we think it'll be okay.
So this is our melon bed. We won't plant those till May. So for right now, we're going to plant broccoli, Chinese cabbage, and kohlrabi down the edges. So we can still plant in the center with the melons when we need to plant them. But hopefully by the time the melons take over the bed, the cabbage, kohlrabi, and broccoli will be out of the bed. That way we can utilize some of this space right now and fit the mini plants that we've started that we're trying to find space for.
The string that we're stretching is going to help us keep the bed straight. Now Jason's planning out where the rows will go. He has to be mindful to leave enough space for watermelons, which will go in later on.
Well, we got the broccoli and the cauliflower planted. Now I'm about to plant some cabbage in the remaining space over here. It's the same spacing as broccoli and cauliflower, 18 inches apart each plant. Doing a double row to fit more in the bed. The two rows are 12 inches apart and they're staggered, giving each plant 18 inches from every other plant. So in the row, they were actually 2 feet apart.
Jason is explaining our square foot spacing. We don't use row spacing, we use square foot spacing so that we can maximize how many plants we can fit into a bed. In this case, we're planting cabbage. It needs to be spaced 18 inches apart, but we would only be able to fit a single row if we kept that spacing.
And these are 30-inch beds, by the way. And these are the cabbage plants we started inside on February 11th. Looking pretty good, looking like they're ready to go on the ground. First variety is Promise. Both are from Johnny's.
We pick our varieties based on the purpose that we're looking for. So one variety that Jason planted first, Promise cabbage, that's good for long-term storage. It will keep longer once it comes out. Caitlin, which is what he's planting right now, is a medium length storage, and it's really good for sauerkraut.
Next variety is Caitlin, also from Johnny's. It's a mid-storage kraut cabbage. Now we have some red cabbage. We have Ruby Perfection and Integro. That's all the room I have for those cabbages. We'll have to see if we can find somebody to give these to.
We finally got it done. We made the progress we were hoping to, and we can move on and almost be done wrapping up our spring planting. I'm riding on our, hey, what are these called? I don't know.